What's up, y'all? Welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Shane Wilson, and in this episode, I'm going to be going over Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Book 2 / Movie 2 / Season 2 of the Harry Potter saga. If you missed episode 1, I would recommend that you go back and watch that of me casting Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. But just for a quick recap, I am casting for the series that HBO is doing, so I'm trying to match up the ages of the characters with how they're portrayed in the book. I use the movies as a slight reference point because I think the movies are incredibly well cast, but these are based on the books. I'm not casting any students, because I think that should be relatively unknown young actors. And I'll just tell you real quick, Harry Potter, if I'm a big fan of Harry Potter. I would say that it is my favorite franchise. The movie series is my favorite movie series. I love a lot of other movie series, the MCU, Avengers, obviously you know what the MCU is, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, things like that. But Harry Potter has always been my favorite, and it's my second favorite book series. Set behind Percy Jackson. That was my favorite growing up. I think now as an adult I can enjoy Harry Potter more than I can Percy Jackson, but I'm still partial to Percy Jackson because I love those so much growing up. But all that being said, I'm a big fan of Harry Potter, so hopefully you are too. Surely you are, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video unless you're just a big fan of me, aka like my mom or something. So, in this episode, we're going to be casting some characters that are introduced in Chamber of Secrets, and so let's just get right into it. Now, this first character is actually briefly introduced in Sorcerer's Stone, but plays a larger part in Chamber of Secrets, and that way, I mentioned in the first episode, I want to divvy it up a little bit so I can have pretty much equal amount in each video, and I can introduce her with her husband, Arthur. It is Mrs. Molly Weasley. So, in this role, I would cast Emily Watson. So Watson, I think she can perfectly capture the maternal instincts of the character. At 57 years old, she is maybe a touch old, but I personally always have envisioned the Weasleys as old parents, especially by the time that Ginny and Ron are in school, because I think maybe they were younger to average aged parents when they had their first few kids, but they've now on kids 6 or 7, I think, that they've had so many. I think that she looks the part of Mrs. Weasley. I think she could bring the same energy that Julie Walters brought to the role, which I think is perfect for the character, where she's caring, nurturing, but tough when she needs to be. She has this maternal, the maternal instincts, the maternal aura that she exudes. Plus, she's already currently working with HBO. Well, I guess they already worked on a show that's about to come out, Dune Prophecy, so their relationship is there, and she has the experience on a big budget show like that. Now, for her counterpart, Arthur, I'll admit this was a little bit harder for me, but then it just hit me, and I was like, this is perfect. I love this, and I'm a big fan of this character, of this actor, and that is Martin Freeman. So he has experience in big budget franchises, and big budget productions. He played Bilbo Baggins in the Hobbit trilogy, and I absolutely adore him in that role. He brings that book character to life, and he also has worked in the MCU as I just got a notification that Pat McAfee picked OU to lose today. Sorry. He's also worked in the MCU as Everett K. Ross, a agent who he's in the Black Panther movies. I think he's in Secret Invasion, Captain America he's not in Captain America Civil War, I don't think, actually. But yeah, he is. I think he is. But all that to say, I think I would cite his work as Bilbo Baggins. I think that can translate over to Arthur. They're similar characters, a little they want a sense of adventure, but they're laid-back guys. They're with their homes. Obviously, Arthur is a family man, a working man. They're silly characters, but secretly want a little adventure. I think Freeman can bring that to the role, and at 53, I think is a great age to match up with Emily Watson there. And I think they can maybe both act down to where they're like mid to late 40s. I think would maybe make a little more sense to the characters. I'm trying to remember how old. I'm trying to think how old they would be when their oldest son Bill is born, but I'm having trouble doing the math on that, but doesn't matter. Maybe some people are going to get upset that I didn't cast red-haired actors in these parts, but oh well, I'm sorry. Now, this is one I just wanted to mention briefly. We're going to cast Aragog. So obviously this would be a voice role that was originally played by Julian Glover, that not a lot of people know. He played Grand Maester Pycelle in Game of Thrones, as well as General Veers in Star Wars. So looks obviously don't really matter. Age also doesn't really matter. My first choice, and who I'm going to go with, would be Alfred Molina. He's done voice work over the last decade and a half or so in films like Rango, Monsters University, Ralph Breaks the Internet. He has a booming, strong voice that's aged, but it doesn't sound like he's so old that he's frail. I know Aragog does maybe sound a little bit frailer and older like that, but I think his voice is still booming. His voice means business. Obviously, he again has experience in big budget roles like the 3 movies I said, as well as Spider-Man, Indiana Jones. So I think Alfred Molina would be a great actor to lend his voice to Aragog. Now, another character introduced in Chamber is a fan favorite that I would need an experienced voice and motion capture actor for. Obviously, if you look up motion capture, everyone's like, oh, Andy Serkis, of course, but I don't think he has the right voice and sound for it, and I already cast him as Hagrid. So Dobby the house elf is who we're going to go, and there aren't many motion capture actors that I thought could play the part, because they typically play bigger, tougher characters with commanding voices, and Dobby's small and not quiet, but has a meek sounding voice, and he's a little, yeah. A lot of them that can go smaller, like think your Sean Gunn's. I didn't think of Sean Gunn, but he's an example. They're American, and I know that you can always just do an accent, but I tried to keep it to British and Irish actors for the most part. But then it hit me, right? I was genuinely going to exclude Dobby from this list, and then it just hit me. Another innocent, cute, beloved British character that brings the same vibes to me as Dobby is Paddington Bear. And he is voiced in the Paddington movies by Ben Whishaw, and I think Ben Whishaw could 100% capture Dobby the same way he does Paddington. It would be a great choice for the role. So that's Ben Whishaw as Dobby the elf. Now, this is going to seem like one of the biggest castings of the series, because I'm casting Tom Riddle, but I'm not casting Voldemort. I'm casting a young Tom Riddle that we see in Chamber of Secrets through the diary. Now, I wouldn't be opposed to using an unknown teen actor, but one with slightly more experience is 21-year-old Louis Partridge, who I think could play the role. He has the looks down, as described in the book. Again, looks aren't necessarily important to me, but I think it works here. So Tom Riddle would be 16 to 17, and will appear a bit older than that. But my thing for this is I want you to think about 16 and 17-year-olds when you were a kid, like when you would have been 11, 12 as Harry is, and see how old they looked. Think about how old they looked to you. Now look back 40 to 50 years as Tom Riddle would have been at teenagers, and how much more mature and older they appear than now, just because that's just kind of the way it goes, right? I think this would have the same effect, and that's why you pass using a slightly older actor. Now, Partridge has worked on films like Paddington 2, Enola Holmes, and Argyle, and I think he can bring the right charisma that is needed to the role of Tom Riddle. 2 more here. Now we have one of Tom Riddle's most loyal followers, Lucius Malfoy. So I kept thinking of actors that have played Targaryens for the obvious reason of the blonde hair. And so I was thinking Matt Smith, but instead I landed on his character Daemon Targaryen's like great keep going great grandson Viserys Targaryen from Game of Thrones, who was played by Harry Lloyd. And I think that he played a cold, calculated character who's really more slimy and cowardly than anything else. At 40, he's the right age for the role, and he has experience wearing that blonde wig. So I would go Harry Lloyd as Lucius Malfoy. And for our final casting of Chamber of Secrets, we have a fan favorite character, the Defense Against the Dark Arts professor in year 2, Gilderoy Lockhart, winner of Wish Weekly's Best Smile Award. And I thought that the answer was pretty obvious. I will dive into Bridgerton a few times here. I've done it in the past, and I did it, like I did it with Bessie Carter. I'll pull a few others later, even in the next episode. And I actually considered 2 Bridgerton actors for this role. First, I thought of Rajon Page. He has the smile, the good looks, the charisma. To me, his character in Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves has the same conceited air and nature that Lockhart does. That character is much more pure than Lockhart, but I'm actually going to go with his Bridgerton brother-in-law, Viscount Anthony Bridgerton, Jonathan Bailey. Jonathan Bailey has just been getting all these roles in Hollywood. He has an upcoming role in the Wicked movies as Fiyero, I think is his character's name. He's going to star in the new Jurassic World movie alongside Mahershala Ali and Scarlett Johansson. And I think he can bring that. He's such a good, talented actor. He has the looks, the charisma, the smile. And I think he can bring a slight airheadedness to Lockhart, but make the character intimidating when he needs to be towards the end of the story. Plus, come on, I know I said looks don't matter, and I don't mean that he necessarily looks at the character, but Lockhart needs to be handsome. That's a handsome man right there. So, Jonathan Bailey as Gilderoy Lockhart. And that's wrapping up Chamber of Secrets. So stay tuned for episode 3, The Prisoner of Azkaban, where we're going to be highlighting some fan favorite characters, the Marauders. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Let me know who you would cast in these roles down below in the comments. And thanks for watching. Peace.